Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the channel. Today, as I promised about a week ago, I was going to make this video, and we're finally getting around to doing it. We're going to rate every single player in the Celtic Football Club squad this season on their performances, their contribution to everything that the team have done so far this season. Of course, this is something I would usually do at the end of the season, rate, you know, who's done their best, who's been their worst, who should go, who should stay, blah, blah, all that stuff. But with the situation we find ourselves in, we don't even know if the season's going to finish. So I decided why not do something now, because I've been playing Football Manager an awful lot on the channel recently, and thank you for everyone who's watching that series and supporting it. It means a lot. Obviously, I'm not usually one for doing a gaming series on the channel. I just like talking about football and giving my input, as much as it may be a farce half the time. I like giving my input to what's actually happening in the real game. And today, we're going to actually have a video on that. There's not much we could speak about over the next couple of months, but this is one that I suppose we could get round to doing just now. So I'm going to do it in a quite, you know, simple system. We're going to go through A, B, C, D, or F. That is the rating that they're going to get. Every single player that has played, you know, a decent amount of minutes for the team this season. Now, obviously, there's players there, such as the backup goalkeepers and that haven't really played, so they'll just kind of leave them out and skim over them. But if we don't want this video to last half an hour, then we're going to have to go over it very, very quickly. So enough wasted time with the introduction of the video. You get the gist of it now. Let me know in the comments below what you think of certain players and who you think's been the best and worst this season, and your ratings for these players. And also, make sure you know, support the channel through these tough times. If you are new, make sure to hit the subscribe button. That would be very much appreciated, and make sure and like the video. That's the most important part. We need to try and get some form of support on these videos, as they are few and far between nowadays with the current situation the world currently finds itself in. So without any further ado, let's go right into it, and we'll start from the back and make our way to the front. That seems like the most reasonable thing to do. Right, goalkeepers then. So the first of the three goalkeepers to speak about is Fraser Forster, and it's going to be the only keeper we pretty much talk about. For me, it's very simple for Fraser Forster. The man gets an A rating. Now, I understand Fraser Forster, there's a lot of frustrations that comes alongside his quality goalkeeping. There are frustrations that comes alongside that, and a lot of people, you know, talk about how his command of the area may not be the greatest. You know, he's a bit rash with his decision making. Sometimes he should be catching the ball instead of slapping it away. And yes, I do understand those frustrations, but let's think of what Fraser Forster has done on his loan move to Celtic this season. He single-handedly won us the League Cup in that final against Rangers with the monumental saves he pulled off. He took us through that Europa League group, and without his heroic performances, we probably wouldn't have finished top of the group. And ultimately, as well, his saves have been top-notch at, you know, every point of the season so far, the start, the middle, and what right now is the end. He's made some big saves. He's been fantastic in between the sticks for us this year, and obviously someone we want to keep at Celtic somehow when the next season may or may not begin. I don't know how we're going to do that, considering finances and such, but it'd be great to have him back this year. For me, it's simple. It's an A for him because of how important he's been at points throughout the season. Penalty saves have been incredible as well. I've said it before and I'll say it again. He's the only goalkeeper in the world that you can stick in between these sticks and say he's saving this penalty without any sort of knock-on confidence. You know, you feel he's always got the chance of saving it. You know, as somebody steps up, you're like, oh, he's got to score this penalty. Not with Fraser Forster, you feel like he's going to save the penalty. For me, it's an A rating. Scott Bain and Craig Gordon have barely contributed to the squad this season. That's probably down to the faith installed in Fraser Forster. Scott Bain, the getting more time between the two. I'm not going to give him a rating though, because he's only played in a couple of cup games, so I feel like it would be unfair to judge him on those. It's an A for Fraser Forster though. Right, we'll try and go through all the defenders now. First of all, Christopher Jullien. Let's start with a big fat A. What a signing he's been. 7 million quid well spent. Once again, one of the most important players in the team for standing out in key moments. His defensive ability has been questioned at times against certain players, against maybe physical players that he's a little bit, you know, people that are not Celtic fans use the word scared. For me, I think it's just that kind of breaking into the game a little bit, getting used to Scottish football. But apart from that, look at his goals that he's scored as well. For a centre-half, he has contributed some of the most important goals this season. You think of the Lazio goal, you think of the League Cup final goal. He's been massive for us this season, and he's a real presence in the team. He's brought a great stability to that centre-half position, which Celtic have lacked for so long. We've never really had a great centre-half over the past few years, and he's probably the one that's stepped up and shown that he can be. So it's an A for Christopher Jullien for me. An incredible signing. Greg Taylor, let's move on to him. For me, I think that Greg Taylor has been a good breakout player. He didn't obviously start the first half of the season, but coming into the second half he's had a lot more game time. I think a lot of people have opened up the criticism of him. A lot of people don't like him too much. For me, if I was being honest, probably give him a C. He has got a lot to work on, but I think over the past few months, from the January break, he's shown he's probably the best option on that left hand side of the defence. I think a lot of people are too harsh on him. I quite like him. I think maybe he's just a little bit weak for a defender. He's good at going forward with the ball though, so a C I think is a reasonable rating to give him. Jozo Simunovic, for me, I would give a D. You might think that's harsh, but Simunovic for me has let us down at points this season. Look, he's there as the kind of backup centre half. We know what our starting centre half partnership is, so he's kind of on the fringe of that kind of situation. And when he comes in, yes, sometimes he gives us a good performance. I think he has had good performances this season, but at too many points he's been a liability, and he's cost us. And the prime example of that is a Copenhagen tie. So I think we need to get a lot more out of him. And we know he can be really good. We've seen it at points in the past, but I think there's just something about him that's too inconsistent. And for me, a D is probably a reasonable enough rating. Moritz Bauer, the right back, I'm going to give an F. Probably one of the worst loan moves that we've had so far this season. Out of the few, he's just not good enough, I don't think. At the start, I quite liked him. I thought, when he played at Ibrox at the start of the season, I thought he actually looked quite decent. I thought he would bring a lot of defensive ability to the back line, but as time has went on, I think he's shown that he's not good enough. He's someone who we probably won't intend on bringing back next season. And God bless him, he tries. He does try, but he's just. I think he's a little bit out of his depth, and obviously as a team like Stoke that he plays for right down the bottom of the Championship, that pretty much is his level. He's not good enough to play in the European games. I think the big games he struggles, and even in the smaller games he hasn't looked too great. I think the last time I seen him play in person was the Clyde game, and he just didn't look like he knew what he was doing. For me, it's probably an F, which is a shame. Bolingoli, someone who I had such high hopes for at the start of the season with his performance at Ibrox. For me, I'm going to give a D. I think an F would be too harsh, and I think anything above that would be too much of a compliment. People might disagree with me on this, and look, he's someone I want to see improve and get a chance at Celtic, definitely, because I think he's shown glimpses of how good he can be. But once again, defensively, I think he looks out of his depth. I think a lot of people know how to get the worst out of him. And I think as time has went on, it kind of got gradually worse. It started off decent enough, and it just kind of dipped, and for me he could definitely be a lot better. Defensively, he doesn't have a lot to offer. It looks like he looks a little bit rash, he looks a little bit off at times. For me, I think Greg Taylor's still the better option, who I gave a C. So to give Bolingoli that same rating, I feel like I'd be contradicting myself. A lot of people may not agree, as I've already said. Jeremy Frimpong, the golden boy now. I mean, maybe he's replaced Kieran Tierney in that role, the one that everybody loves. He's came in, and I don't think he was expected to be a first team player within his first season, but obviously with the situation Abdelhamid found himself in, and Moritz Bauer, as I've said already, not being good enough, he was kind of forced into that role as being the starting right back, and he took it really well. Once again, defensively, a lot to work on. He's a smaller guy. He's only 18, 19 years old. You can't judge him too much for his ability so far. I mean, it's a lot of potential in this boy rather than current ability, but he's took every opportunity very well. I'd give him a B. So far this season. I think he has let us down at points, but once again, how much pressure can you put on someone who's 18, 19 years of age? But his attitude, his ethic, his personality that he's brought to the squad, you can tell is very upbringing, it's very positive, and he gets it, he completely gets it, and he's a player who I think has only got a bright future, nothing else but a bright future at Celtic. And for being that age and for being in the situation he found himself this year, where he probably wasn't expected to be a first team player, I think he's done it really well. So a B, I think, is maybe too kind, but everybody loves him, don't they? But he has a lot to work on, no denying that. Abdelhamid, look, if he was fit this entire season, he'd probably be up in an A, judging off his performances. Obviously, just returning as everything has come to an end, which is a shame. Before that, he was an A. Before the injury, it was an A for me. I thought one of the best signings we made all summer. What a terrific player he looks like. Someone who we had, obviously, not a lot of expectation on because we knew nothing about him. He was one of those signings from the Israeli Premier League that no one really knew what to think about. But he was a solid defender. Absolutely brilliant. He's one of the, I think, probably apart from Julian, he looks like the one with the best defensive ability in the team. A great right back. He's obviously a natural centre half, moving over to that right hand side. He done it really well. For me, giving him a B just because he's been out for a lot of the season, but look, cannot deny that he's a fantastic looking player, and hopefully returns to that same level when he gets a run of first team games again, whenever that may be. I think it's harsh to give him a B because he's been injured, but considering other players have had more time, it's hard to just sit and put him on the same level as maybe Foster and Julian, who have contributed so much throughout the entire season. And then finally, Christopher Ajer, who we don't know how long he'll be at Celtic. There are the rumours that he may leave, he may move on in the summer. Another one who I'm a big fan of. I love Christopher Ajer, but this year I'd give him a B as well. I think that he has got the ability to be an A, but he just makes rash decisions far too much, and it leads to mistakes, it leads to goals being conceded. Alongside Julian, it is a great centre-half partnership to have. I'll say once again, probably the best we've had since maybe McManus and Caldwell, for God's sake. It's a great partnership, but Ajer definitely has a lot to work on. He gets it as well. Another one whose attitude is top-notch, absolutely fantastic. Hopefully, does kind of erase those mistakes from his game, but how long will he be at Celtic to do that? We don't know. Obviously a big future ahead of him as well, but a B I think is fair for Christopher Ajer. On to the midfield then. I'm just going through the order that the Celtic website gives me the squad, by the way. I'm not doing this in a particular order or anything like that. I'm just doing as it's given to me. I think it's squad numbers. It goes by and obviously position. So first off is Neil Baton, who has just obviously came back over the past month or two from being injured for the majority of the season. Since he's came back, I'd give him a C. I think he's not been exceptional, but he's not been bad. I think he's shown that he's still got a lot of ability though, and he can be important to this team. Not too much to say, but you know, filling in that kind of centre-half position it has been over the last few games that we played, it looked solid. It looked like a really good option to have, and it looks like he likes to prove a lot of the doubters wrong, and I've always been one of the doubters on the Baton. I'd give him a C though, because it's right in the middle. It's been average, I think, for coming back. I mean, he's not been playing in big games, so I would like to see him play in those first before saying, give him an A or a B. Scott Brown, I mean, I'd give him... It's hard for Brown, because Brown has done probably not an awful lot wrong this year. The obvious one would be the game in the Champions League qualifiers. I mean, he thought he was playing volleyball, and he got himself sent off, and that kind of destroyed the game for us. I don't know if he got sent off. I know we gave away a penalty, but Brown, for me, I'll give a B this season, because I don't think he's been his absolute best. He's not the 2017-18 Brown, which won player of the season and all that, but he's not been bad either. He's the captain, he's a leader, he's a legend, he's the modern day cult hero of Celtic. I think a B is a fair enough rating to give Scott Brown this season. He's just Mr. Consistent as well when it comes to year on year out, apart from that 1 year where it was hopeless. There's not too much you can say bad about Brown. But once again, there are players who have definitely been better than him, and some people would argue that maybe when he's out the team, we don't notice too much in terms of technical ability being an difference. We don't see too much, but the attributes he brings to the team as a leader and a captain are unmatched. So for me, I'll give Scott Brown a B. Johnny Hayes, Jesus Christ, I'm giving him a C. I don't care. I know people will be saying F. I know people will be saying what. Look, we know how much I love Johnny Hayes. I don't need to go over it time and time again. I love the guy. I think he's incredibly hard working, very passionate, and I know that's not attributes that a lot of people look for sometimes. A lot of people just want to see on-pitch quality, but look, his on-pitch quality a lot of the time just goes unnoticed and ignored for the bad things that happens. Like, this is a guy who's played left back coming to Celtic when he's played a left winger his whole career. Defensively, how much can you expect out of a winger to play at left back? Like, he gives us all the time. The big goal at Ibrox winning the game for us as well. I don't think he's been as bad as what people make out. I think he's an easy scapegoat for some fans. I do really like Johnny Hayes. I'm going to give him a C. A lot of people won't agree. Maybe I'm just being biased because I do like him. But I don't honestly see how he's been as bad as maybe some people have made out. So for me, Johnny Hayes, I'm going to put in as a C. Ryan Christie, who started the season as the best player in the team, let's be quite honest. I think I'm going to give him a B though, because he's tailed off from that kind of start of the season he had. If he kept up that consistency that he had throughout he obviously took a couple of knocks in there as well, which kind of affected his game, but if he kept up that same level of performance that he had for the first few months of the season, he'd probably be the best player still. We would be talking about an easy A to give him. But it's not been the same level, I think. I think other players have stepped up and shown that they can be just as good at points, but you can't underestimate how good a player he is. He's fantastic, unbelievable, and easily still one of the best players in the team. I think to get up to that A level though, he has to finish the season in the big games with that level of performance that he had at the start. I'm not saying he's bad for the rest of the season, I just don't think it was the same level. I don't think it was that A level after he came back from injury. For me, he's still unbelievable and one of the best players in the team. But a B, I think, is fair when you look over the whole course of so far what he's played. Tom Rogic, who in this photo has a beard, which is funny because you never used to seeing him with a beard. For me, Tom Rogic is probably a C. Once again, he's been in and out the team. He's struggled to stay fit all season, but he has contributed in a positive manner when he's came on in games and such. I think he's still got to return to full fitness. His legs are kind of away from it at this point. There's not too much to say. He's not done too much this season, let's be quite honest. So for me, Tom Rogic, probably C. Mikey Johnson started the season in the qualifiers looking really sharp, looking really good. I thought he was going to have a big season. Then once again, another player who unfortunately got injured. But I think coming back from injury, he's shown that he can be a little bit irritating, a little bit annoying sometimes. I think he's a little bit too Aidan McGeady-like with the ball. With not the same technical ability as Aidan McGeady at this point. He will get better. Another one for the future. Mikey Johnson, a fantastic young prospect at the team. For me, I'd give a D though. He started the season before in the qualifier section was great, but domestically he's not offered an awful lot this year. And I think a lot of people might think I'm being harsh on him, but I just think there's a lot more to offer from Mikey Johnson. So I'm going to give him a D. Olivier Ntcham, I'm going to give a B. I think, yeah, let's just go to the Rome winner straight away. I mean, the finesse, the composure, the cool-headedness of a fantastic football player. I don't think he's done as much to be an A this season. He has been over previous years at points. But he's someone who's proven that even though things have been wrote about him wanting to leave the club and want to play elsewhere, he's still, going to give 100% for Celtic no matter what. And when he plays his best, he's one of the best players in the country. I'd give him a B this season. He's contributed at vital points as well. Sometimes though he does go a bit missing, and when you start getting behind him, he has like a run of like 3 great games, and then he has a run of like 2 or 3 bad games, which is slightly annoying. But Ntcham, a great player. A B I would give. I think that's fair. It's the same with Mo El-Younousi. I'm going to give a B as well. I think Mo El-Younousi was another player who, before he got injured, it's a shame when you look at it. It feels like for so many players, I'm saying before they got injured, it's a shame because there's so many players, El-Younousi being one of them, who was performing on an A level, I would say. Before that, he was fantastic, and since coming back, he's not done an awful lot. He's not been given as many chances, I think, because of this 3-5-2 system as well. He's kind of been sat on the side a little bit because he doesn't quite fit it. He likes playing with Taylor on the left hand side rather than El-Younousi. But another player who I'd love to see come back next season somehow, doubt it'll happen, but I think he's had a terrific season at Celtic. Before that injury, I thought he was one of the best players in the team, one of the most vital players in the team, and he showed that in Europe and domestically. I'd love to see him come back though. Callum McGregor, going to give an A. I think he's an A player. Callum McGregor has been just once again, I said about Scott Brown being Mr. Consistent. The true Mr. Consistent is Callum McGregor. Never has a bad game. Sometimes you might not notice him, he might not do a lot, but what does he do that's wrong? He's probably week in, week out the best player that we've got. He just never lets us down. I don't know what else to add about Callum McGregor. He's a simple A for me. He has been for the past 2 or 3 years. He's just, he's the next captain of this club for me. I think he's great. Just look at me, I'm lost for words. The guy gets me speechless. And finally in the midfield, James Forrest, got to give a C. His season's been disappointing for me. I think a lot of people's frustrations have been heard on social media and such of his inconsistency and his poor performances at points this season. I do love James Forrest, and I think he's just not that same level as he was perhaps the last couple of years. He's got to catch up and get back to that. A lot of people calling for him to be dropped and such, understandably, because I think he's got a lot more to offer than what he's shown this year. A C I think is fair. I don't think he's been as bad as a D and an F. But for me, James Forrest, a C, mid-par this season. Just realised this has lasted 20 minutes, so we'll fire through the last 2 finally. I mean, there's 4 strikers to talk about, but only 2 have made real contributions to the squad this season. Firstly, Griffiths. I'm going to give a B for Griffiths because, let's be honest, he was wrote off by both Celtic fans and the opposition. People thought it was done, people thought it was time to move on. He has came out and scalped everyone's arse. What a fantastic player he has shown to be. You can't write him off. He's came back with a right bang, to say the least. I love it. It's great that he's proven people like me wrong, never mind people like Chris Boyd wrong. And it's great to see. And I'm so happy for him as well. A B for his contributions from January onwards. I know you could give him an A, but obviously missing the entire first half of the season pretty much, is why I'm bringing my B. And then finally, the odd-son Edouard conversation. Does there have to be one? He's the biggest A of the whole team. What a season he's had, and we'll be lucky if we have him here next year, and I really hope we do. But he is going to go to the very top. He's the best player in the country by a country mile, and you know, his goals this season have been just, you know, it's just, what a player. We're lucky to have a player like this. Some people say the best since Larson, and understandably, his technical ability, his goal scoring ability, his ability to hold up the ball and create as well. He's just all round a spectacular player, and let's enjoy him while he's here. He's been the best player this season, Celtic's player of the year. Not as consistent as McGregor, but the standout performances of Edouard this year eclipse anyone in this squad, and that is the honest truth. He is our man. He is the best player in the country, one of the best strikers in the whole of Britain right now, and change my mind if you want, but it's not going to ham. Ladies and gentlemen, that does it. That's it. I've went through 20 minutes. Jesus Christ almighty, sorry for blabbering, you know, for so long, but if you have enjoyed, make sure that like and subscribe. I'm going to go try and edit this now and try and make it as entertaining as possible. If I haven't bothered editing it, then I apologise. Like and subscribe, as I said, and I'll see you all next time.